Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of WoW Talk. Today, after a couple of setbacks, we finally got Mr. Dalla Run on board. Hey, what up, man? How you doing?
Doing well. Doing really well.
It's been quite a trip. I've been eager to get Dal on the show because he is, for some time now, one of the most present rogues on YouTube. One thing, and I know he'll appreciate this, dude. Dalaran is the combat rogue who never gave up. This is, and you have to be proud of that, man.
I like that one. Yeah, I like that one. I like the ring of that one. I'm not a huge fan of, I can't do compliments all that well. I get anxiety over it all the time. So when people tell me like I'm good at whatever, or even when it comes to donation streams, like I'm like, act like a cool like a cucumber, anxiety on the inside, hold it in. But that is true. I do like combat though. I do like combat. Except it's not combat anymore, but it's coming back in BFA. So I'm super happy about that.
Intentionally, I said combat rogue because I remember like back when
everybody calls it combat.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna hold it against you.
Exactly. So it's still combat rogue, man. They went for the pirate thing, but you know this is a good segue into like the first the first question. Like we always started off with this shit, right? So Dal, I bet a lot of people from our community know about you, but for the small amount who don't, can you just tell us a bit like who you are, how you started with YouTube, what was the whole combat rogue thingy and all of that?
Small amount that don't. What am I, Swifty? I'm not that popular, my dude. Let's see, where did I start? I started out as just one of the guys watching Swifty, watching Bajira, watching Census, Sativ, a lot of the other guys, and I just thought, wow, it'd be kind of cool if I could make some videos. And I had a potato laptop, so I ended up getting Razer. They had like a Razer optimization software that had a recording feature for it.
Yeah.
So I used that for a little bit, just mess around with videos, and then kind of just self-taught myself Sony Vegas, then taught myself a little bit over time how to edit thumbnails, because my twin was the one who took classes in high school that taught him the very basics of that. And then I just wanted to make videos. At first, I didn't know what kind of videos I wanted to make. So then the premise came up with, I'm gonna make videos that I would want to see. I looked up originally, is there a combat rogue guide online? Oh, there isn't for patch 4.2.1 for combat. Nobody playing it. Maybe I'll try it. I thought 8-second stun is pretty nice.
Yeah. Killing
spree is pretty cool. Red buff is pretty overpowered, but no one plays it. But it feels like such a good PvP spec. So I thought, okay, I'll try it, and then just made videos that I would want to see online, or like whatever I would want to see, whatever I was interested in. If it wasn't there, I'd probably try to go finagle something myself, do some discovery, test out classes, test out theories, and then I grew. I went from like a very inexperienced, very ignorant, and I hopefully got better at that. Hopefully got more knowledge, more patience, definitely the editing skill, and thumbnails became a little bit better, although it's just really colorful background, throw a model, throw some effects, and good to go. Yeah, but it's all, but one of the things that I also enjoy about the channel is what I want to do for longest is keep 2 videos a day kind of as part of the channel, and I'm happy I could continue doing that. So that's basically where I started. It's just some dude that wanted to make some YouTube videos. Right. I still have a video of my like official, because it is like if you go back and watch my older stuff, they're really cringy because it's like I thought I was such a cool kid playing like World of Warcraft, making WoW videos. I thought, wow, I'm gonna be as cool as Swifty. Far from it. But I still have an official video. It was like, okay, I'm officially starting the YouTube channel. My very first video where I'm kind of just like, here's how I'm gonna run it. I still have it on the channel. I'm not gonna go just remove those. I want to keep them there, just to know like exactly when I started, like when I thought about it seriously, and then it's a good piece of history, man. I mean, oh yeah, it's like baby pictures. You're embarrassed about yourself being ass naked as when you were 5 or 6, but you gotta keep it there, man. You gotta keep them.
Yeah, man, and it's I think it has been especially your channel because there wasn't. Maybe not even one or maybe 2, I don't know, but I didn't know about any combat rogue channel, and I think I picked up a rogue, I think in Cataclysm or somewhere like that. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, I didn't understand anything, it was a new class to me. I always been red, and I started to search for combat rogue, sub rogue, assassination rogue, to understand, and I found your channel. This was years ago. And you know, for that time and place, of course, you had the Swifties, and you know, we got the Teen, and you know, the old school guys. But for that time, you know, I didn't feel it as cringe. I mean, it's like, hey man, this is something that nobody else does. This spec, you don't see it anywhere. I mean, you would fight arenas, right? You would go into queues and BGs and shit like that. There was no combat rogues over there. There was subtlety all the time, especially in Kata. Subtlety all the way, maybe some assassination. But then Mists came around. It was okay, but I strongly believe that, you know, and I kept to combat rogue, partially influenced by you, I gotta say, but I kept to combat, and then Warlords of Draenor came along, and Jesus fucking Christ, man! I mean, it was really, it was a bit flavor of the month for I think until they.
Oh yeah, no, it was busted. It was broken. You had a 12-second stun all on your own. Killing spree couldn't be peeled, and you were a monster.
But didn't you feel proud that you kept with combat rogue? I mean, even if it became flavor of the month, you kept the flavor.
I love the play style. That's what I liked about it. It didn't matter whether it's strong, whether it's not strong. I just liked the play style. I guess the fact that it wasn't strong was like my own personal challenge to see how good can I do at it. And God, I was so proud of myself when I got 2K back in MoP. So proud of myself. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
But back in WoD, when it became like really, really good, I was like, hey, how many people know combat? It's like it was 3 weeks into WoD and we already had 2K. I'm like, this is something I struggled for back in MoP, and here I got it in 3 weeks easily with an affliction or like abusing the 12-second stun. And of course they nerfed it down, but it was still like one of the more dominant specs for him.
For the whole expansion.
The longest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you like the change in philosophy or imagery regarding combat rogue? I mean, moving it towards this piratey thingy, how did you feel about that? Looking now back.
Oh, at first I was like, are we going to be an outlaw? What am I going to be? Some kind of like a sheriff on a horse, you know, shooting guns in Wild Wild West? I didn't even think it was a pirate. I thought like it was going to be some Wild West kind of deal. And then I was like, okay, we are drunk pirates. Okay, that's great. I love that about my spec. Sarcasm 100% included. I hated it. I talked bad about it. Everybody was streaming to it. I was streaming too, and everybody were like, "Damn, it'll be fine. You'll be okay. It'll be fine. It might be fun." I was like, "No, this is bad." But then I loved it. I loved the roll of the bones after I got to play with it. I loved the artifact weapon, adrenaline rush. I liked the damage. I also kind of liked that we weren't as good again, so it was like, you know, that extra hurdle. But the cooldown reduction mechanic was awesome. The true bearing, the range stun. I just thought it was like it has the same potential, and just continue to enjoy it because it is still fun. I don't think of it, at least I personally don't think it's the same combat anymore, or at least for Legion, because it just doesn't play the same. But if you play Outlaw Rogue on the BFA beta, it's basically back to combat. Minus you still keep the RNG buffs, which are not as bad in terms of single target damage or PvP. And you don't have the deep inside mechanic, but just basically, you can go up slice and dice and killing spree, and you can play it as if you play combat in its level left. Yeah.
I like it. I tried it as well, and it's pretty much back to how it used to feel, especially with killing spree and you know, slice and dice. You know, it was a good feeling to have a class which relied so much on attack speed. I mean, all that. Really good.
Oh yeah,
that pirate thing. I mean, you know,
I feel the piratey thing was a nice concept because, you know, like with mages you have frost, arcane, fire, like elemental spells. So I'm a huge fan of like class fantasy. For rogues, like what do you do? Like would you have like a smuggler, a thief, and a murderer? Like you're not gonna get that. You can't. I mean, that just seems like villain. They just seem like common criminals. But if you give them like a smuggler, okay, pirate, thief, subtlety, an assassination rogue with poisons and bleeds, add a little bit of flavor. I don't know. I didn't mind it, honestly.
Yeah, it's fine, man. It's fine. But okay, we're like it's really natural how we segue into all of this. It's basically covering questions as we talk. But I do this with all of the guys here. I think we covered. I mean, we can both conclude that Warlords of Draenor was the best expansion for combat rogue, hands down. But on that note, for you, what was your favorite expansion in World of Warcraft? And give a little bit of details. I mean, I know all the people. Please don't say Wrath of the Lich King. Everybody says Wrath of the Lich King.
I didn't play on Wrath.
Oh,
I started in Cataclysm. I didn't play in Wrath. I didn't play in BC. I didn't play in Vanilla. So every time I bring it up in like a comment video, or let's say I want to talk about like WoW Classic, I'm like, oh, why I'm excited? It's like, well, I'd never played it, and people will say, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
You know, play Vanilla. You're not even a real Vanilla player. It's like that's the point. I want to play Vanilla, right?
I haven't played Vanilla too. Yeah.
I never played Wrath. So for me, Cataclysm is the first expansion, and I feel like it's always going to be that one expansion you start with. I can't talk bad about it. It's like a first girlfriend or something. You don't want to leave it bad feelings, but I won't say I basically don't want to talk about Cataclysm. I don't want to rank that one because it's just the first expansion. I can't really say much. Mists of Pandaria I thought was going to be the best because that's when I really started playing combat, and I really just got, I guess a good chunk of my channel.
Yeah, your YouTube also grew
and the
a lot
journey.
in that period.
A lot of the journey came from Mists. Warlords came around, and Warlords was cool on paper, but I feel like generally just it was a good expansion for combat. But if you wanted to do anything else, I don't know.
It was kind of boring, man.
Yeah, it was kind of boring. I would say probably so far, Legion in terms of content. PvP wise, it's Legion PvP. I liked it at first, but then as it went on, I felt like it was good on paper. It just wasn't quite for me. But the Mythic Plus dungeons, the raids, that would really got me into it. So I feel like I'm more of a random player, playing all aspects of the game now. I'd probably have to say it's between Legion and Mob. Mob because I enjoyed the living hell out of combat. Woke up in the morning, played some combat all day long. Or Legion because I still played combat going to Outlaw, but I'm playing more World of Warcraft, more aspects of it. And Legion just has been great in terms of content. Although if I did play in Wrath, I probably would have said Wrath like everybody else, just because
Yeah, it was it's Arthas, it's all that jazz over there. But I think you're the first one to say Mists of Pandaria. There's not a lot of people who talk good about Mists of Pandaria, but I do believe Mists was one of their best ever in terms of even philosophical wise. I absolutely loved the fact that there was no more villain. There was all this general shit. Well, there was a villain at the end, but you went off because what do you do when you get into an expansion? First thing you do, you go questing, right? You go level up. You enjoy the little bits of stories, the environments, and all that. I think Mist was like kicking it, man, kicking it. And I really didn't believe all that jazz about appealing to the Asian markets. I mean, really, do you think you're gonna appeal to the Asian markets with an Asian like culturally Asian team? Really? That's not what they look at the games they play, dude. Come on, it's not like that. No, for real. But it was, and I agree, it's one of my favorites too. Definitely really good. I mean, content pacing as well as like story. I love the story. I mean, fuck the bullshit, man. I love that story. It's hands down.
No, it was great. The only thing I didn't like about it is the content drought for a year with the last raid. Like there was just nothing to do before WoD. But besides that, I thought visually beautiful. Jade Forest was my favorite zone overall. Yeah. I love the variety of different zones. Of course, I have, the last leveling area looking all gloomy. Not a fan of that one. But everything else was awesome. I thought the raids were pretty cool. In just the idea of like some of the boss fights. I didn't raid that much though. I did a lot of PvP. But I feel like, those Throne of Thunder Isle, that was a pretty good PvP hotspot. Yeah. I feel like World PvP over the Shaws was, whatever the world bosses up was great as well. In terms of PvP content, I feel like they've done, by the last season, just about every single specialization and class was viable, even some of the tanks. Like everybody could engage in the game. And yeah, even the story, like I don't usually talk much about the story for a while, but I like the story of like, we didn't come in with like a big villain into a mob. It's like, okay, just explore, and then you're exploring, and then you kind of care for the some of the quests and the zones, and then you have the bring up to the Shah and then the Garrosh, and it's and then you have Horde and Alliance uniting in a raid. Just the idea of that I thought it was cool. Yeah,
it was pretty good. But just getting a little bit back, because you said you started in Cataclysm. Now, I played a lot in Cataclysm as well. I started in BC, but one thing that I feel, and I feel it up until this day about Cataclysm, I still believe Cataclysm was the most balanced for PvP. What's your thought on that? Did you play? Did you play PvP?
I did play. I didn't play Rogue though. I played a Resto Druid. So I have and Resto Druids were terrible for PvP. So I have a pretty good track record of playing classes that were pretty bad for PvP. until Warlords of Draenor. I thought I enjoyed it though. I played Rusted Druid and it was kind of hard, and I just like the challenge. But it's not like I got in PvP. You know, I did some boomy here and there, like 1600 highest. But no, I think a lot of people enjoyed Cataclysm, unless maybe you were a warrior. I think those are the only guys that really said,
they had
man.
it too good at that. After Void 4.2, they had it good too. I mean, it's always the same fucking story, Dal. You know this. I mean, an expansion launches, you're gonna have those specs that are fucked up. They're gonna get back. Yeah. Plus, that traditionally warriors were always gear dependent, such as rogues in that matter. And in those days, like, gear really mattered in PvP. I mean, those were the days where they still had like the super epic, PvE trinkets. You remember those, especially in Kata, and the legendary stuff and all of that.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, so it was like gear dependent. But let's move on. Let's move on to like present days now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You played a lot of Gladiator Sanctum. Obviously, you played the BFA beta. You talked about this in a lot of your videos. You have videos on these. But I want to get like a fresh, like a really like last minute feeling on this. Like quick, I don't know, 3-minute rundown on Subtlety, Assassination, and Outlaw. Okay. Your feelings.
Let's talk with Assassination, because that's the popular spec. Yeah. Assassination, they're strong. Like now that it's first of all, it's awesome for rogues to just have gear as part of the involvement. Azeroth bonuses, I think, are, they add a little bit extra, but not too much. For rogues, it's not game changing. But Assassination, for example, haste is now useful stat, crit is useful, master is useful, versatility is useful. They're doing really strong, good sustained damage. I mean, if you got gouge, that would be kind of nice. I feel like a lot of people miss, every type of utility for rogues.
Yes.
But Assassination with a 6-second silence, I mean, Jesus Christ, and probably the best burst right now out of all the burst classes, out of all 3 specs of rogues. We did a burst video. Assassination got like realistic PvP burst, about 3.28 seconds.
3.5.
So 3.28. Yeah, that's pretty big burst for the Vendetta. And I played it, and like there's more. It feels like there's more talents that are useful. Assassin's definitely going to get nerfed, but I feel like they can nerf him a little bit to where you'll still be strong, just not like, on a border of busted. Subtlety is another spec that I actually talked to Senses about, and your Azeroth bonuses are not that impactful. I feel like for PvE, there's a lot of setup that you can do. Yep. For PvP, though, you'll probably, like at least what they have right now, unless Blizzard releases more, you probably will end up running only a few of them, and then you'll run the middle of the ground Azeroth bonuses that are not spec specific, as they're just generally stronger.
Yeah.
Subtlety is really busted strong if you know how to play, though, but it's very gear dependent, very stat reliant, which I think is fine, as a spec is only going to get better in the future. But even right now, it's also on a borderline of busted. Like you can, since you can just do 2 eviscerates and 80% of your enemy health is gone. You don't even need a Nightblade setup. So I think they're going to get some nerfs or changes for the spec to be standardized. And then, of course, there's Outlaw. And it just deals damage no matter what buff you have. And it just hits hard for no reason. Right? Oh, God. Just auto-attack and somebody will slice and dice. They're just watching them melt little by little. And if you get crit buff and killing spree, and every killing spree hit is a crit, God, you're done. All rogues are going to get nerfed. It's not pretty. All the rogues I am expecting to get nerfed, because they're either feel good to play or they're doing really well. Again, I won't say though overpowered. I won't say that. I'd say the borderline. They're just kind of teetering that line there. We're definitely going to get nerfed, but it feels so good to play. All 3 specs feel great. In terms of utility you bring is great. Subtlety is to house all the CC and good damage, but gear specific. Assassination has good damage, good sustain, good burst, and then 6-second silence is really busted. It's so strong if you know how to use it. And then, of course, Outlaw, they're making it more viable, with blind being about a minute 30 cooldown with a talent. And then good damage outside of buffs. So that's really good, as you don't need to keep re-rolling and playing RNG mechanics. You can just kind of roll buff, go in, change your playstyle, buy the buffs, and just kind of go with it. Really strong specialization so far. Definitely going to get nerfed. 100%. Because we feel good to play, and we do good damage. Usually you only have one or the other in previous expansions.
It does feel like all 3 specs have it good. This is what I felt. It's like all 3 specs can be good and can fill a role, no problem.
I think what particular helps them though is the fact that auto attacks do a lot more damage in this expansion than
man, the white
in
damage.
the last few. Yeah. So you have combat that's all about, or yeah, Outlaw. I'm calling it combat now because it feels like combat. We got Sinister Strike back, like Jesus. Outlaw damage, like you're swinging 2 heavy swords, they're doing decent damage. Slice and dice, you're just increasing damage. Good buff now. Assassination, strong auto attacks, but also then you have poisons on top of that, the poisonous effect.
Yep.
Then the bleeds, with haze, bleeds tick faster. You get more energy for it, it works off each other. And then even for subtlety, being, having strong auto attacks, maybe it says that, okay, maybe you don't need to always annihilate. Maybe you don't need to always do prep work. Maybe if you just want to go burst, you just eviscerate back to back or something. Plus, sustained damage with the auto attacks is going to be a little better. Put them debuff on an enemy, let's say Nightblade. They're taking 15% more damage. You have those auto attacks always jabbing them with daggers back to back.
Yep.
That's going to whittle them down over time. So that's really good for rogues right now. The auto attack damage.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like really complaining. You see what people write in the chat on the beta. It's like complaining non-stop. It doesn't matter, it has been rogues, it has been reds. I think now I see a lot of boomkin, and also.
Well, boomies, that was the reason for it. Boomies were actually busted for a little bit. Yeah. I mean.
You did that video. I know the video. I watched it. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! When did this happen?
There's still like, if you go into dungeons and there's boomies that are running like full Azeroth bonuses Moonfire, all you're doing is just spamming Moonfire. Yeah. But it's not busted because if you have gear, you're competitive with everybody. But it was busted for a little bit in PvP. Like you just threw Moonfires and they're done, basically dead. Like what? I don't know. Like. I feel like there's a lot of things that are close to being busted, but they're not quite there. Red Pallies, not overpowered. I'd say you're not overpowered.
Yeah, that's
feel
the
good.
thing. That's the thing.
They do good damage. Not overpowered.
They do a lot of good damage, but if you go on live, they do good and high damage. Is one of the burstiest out of them all. But they still lack the mobility and all of that. And I think the main problem is not the damage. The main problem I feel that comes from people who are like a little bit upset of the heal, because the heal is a tad bit ridiculous. The problem is we needed that, especially in Legion. I mean, if you I'm guessing you played it at least at 2K plus. Reds aren't like super tanky, man. You can kill them. You put pressure on them, you can kill them. We needed something, right? Okay, now we got something. The problem is it heals everybody up. I mean, okay, 3 people around. That's a bit strong. I can agree. What do you think on like the general feel of Battle for Azeroth? We talked a lot about classes and shit, but now I've noticed that in time all of your content evolved like from strictly more PvP oriented to developing Mythic pluses and all of the streams with the 1v1s. That's all beautiful. Now a big ass opinion on Battle for Azeroth as a whole, as an expansion. What's your thought? What you thinking about it?
As a whole, I mean, sometimes I go and I read the forums, read the comments of videos, and I see people that are concerned about it and maybe unhappy on some parts and are skeptical of it. And I look at it and say, okay, I see your point, I see your side. As people are talking about Azeroth bonuses maybe being not enough to replace tier sets, legendaries, artifact weapons, which has been a pretty good system. A lot of people enjoyed it for the most part of Legion. And then class changes in general, some people are happy with the class changes, others not. And then those are saying that some classes are going to be changed in 8.1, so it's like, is my class coming in unfinished? Completely, it's not like it's undeserved, but I feel like Blizzard have impressed me with Legion, and I felt like it was such a success of an expansion, at least for me, that I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm gonna let her have the hands on a wheel. If it's something that comes in that's absolutely busted, like the boomy damage was for a little bit, I will make a video in a joking manner. I just let them do their thing, because I played some of the classes, some of the aspects that people don't like. I tried the Azeroth bonuses. I'm trying to play as many different classes as possible so I can absorb the whole game in its whole. And yeah, it feels like it's some things are rough around the edges, but for the most part, it's looking pretty good. I'm confident that they can do this. I'm confident they can pull this off. I feel like there's a lot of parts of BFA that they simply haven't told us. I feel like there's 2 different BFA is out right now with the beta where we are, and then the beta that's more polished, more finalized product with actual changes, and they're just giving us little bits here and there. Just to,
that's true. They always have like multiple builds ahead, you know, different from they give out to players. I know this is something that they said a long time ago. They always have this. They have like we have one build public, and they have like 3 others, you know, which they're constantly working on. But I think they can pull it off as well. I think it's for me, I got really fed up with all the green around. Serious, man. I got fucking fed up. All darkness and green and sad. Give me some goddamn nature. Give me, you know what I'm saying? Give me some water.
I feel you. No. I thought it was me and my friend that really, like my IRL friend, that really complained about all this Fel Legion green.
Too much.
Yeah. No, it's a little much. I mean, I like what they tried. They tried to make it a little bit less. So, like, you go into Taurus, a lot of it is green, and then you have like more reddish tones, less green towards the end, and then fight with Sargeras and TOS. Like, there was a bit of purple with Night Elf architecture. Then there's space, and there's a bit of green there. But yeah, I'm tired of that felt green at this point. Too much.
Overall, you know, when I walked first time into the beta and, you know, walked into like Cool Thras with the whole scenario and shit, I was like,
God,
oh man, whew, this feels so good. You know?
A sight for sore eyes, honestly.
Yeah, man, really good. Are you gonna try to like play competitively this expansion with your rogues? I mean, get to some, I don't know, at least 2K, something like that.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like, everything they're doing for BFA in terms of PvP and in terms of rogues, I definitely have like almost like a renewed want, a renewed feel to wanna do
hunger, get it in.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely, because I kind of lost it along the way with Legion. I just felt like there wasn't enough class changes going on. Stat templates were cool in terms of balance, but just not a lot was changing. I was really disappointed that they didn't do that much with honor talents. I thought there was going to be a lot of adjustment for like specs that are genuinely not that good, or if there's a lot of dead talents that just you would never take for any reason in a million years. There's just a lot of them, and they even answered that question on one of their Q&As. It was I posted a question. I don't have the
and you had the question posted, right?
Yeah, they answered it. It was something about there's some honor talents that you would never take unless you were to use them in a fan fiction about Sea-Doo where he takes some talent or something along those lines. They said that there are some dead talents that they wouldn't want, and I like what they were doing though. Like some talents that are dead, they're probably going to rotate them, but they're adding already more, or at least if they're not adding more talents, they're taking talents that one spec has. Now all 3 specs have it. So Smoke Bomb for all 3 specs of rogues. I'm like, why haven't we done this in forever? DFA going to a talent is kind of weird because you won't have subtlety doing PvE DFA damage, but I like that. I like that it's an honor talent, so I can pick all my other things and have a DFA as a mobility. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Out of all the classes you tested out, okay, we're gonna like put rogues out of the bag. Out of all of the classes. What class did you feel was like the least important, the least impactful in PvP so far? I mean, I think you tested all of them. I'm not sure, but I think I saw.
Yeah, just about every one of them. I made a ranking video on even tanks and healers, so I played just about every single spec, and then I went back and hopefully today, if the servers are back up, I'll be able to play a few more of them. Is there one class that is just absolutely trash at PvP?
Garbage, like nothing.
I don't know if there is one though. I felt like some classes were trash because I had wrong stats. But then I go back on the stream, I'm like, okay, let's try another stats. Let's see, if anybody on trade chat has anything. Maybe somebody watching the stream is playing that spec or that class that I'm trying out for BG.
Yeah.
Just try different things, try different trinkets, try different Azeroth bonuses, and like right now, I don't think there's one that's bad in terms of either field play style or lack of crowd control, or I mean, damage is always going to change, but I guess what we have damage with right now. I don't think there's anybody bad. Like even I guess I could say Shadow Priest is bad, but then they have an insane amount of CC, a stun, a silence, a fear. So you cannot say they're bad. Like they can do 0 damage, but they could be a CC bot in arena. Like people play with a Shadow Priest, just bring a mage or something, right?
They did say they're gonna fix it in 8.1, so it won't be that long. Did you fight a prot warrior by any chance in BFA Gladiator Sanctum?
I did as my rogue.
And how did that work out for you?
I mean, the guy just lived for a long while, but it's not too bad.
Dude, I felt they do a lot of damage. Too much.
They do a lot of damage.
Fucking prot warrior. Jesus.
For prot, they actually are. Like we had him join the burst video, and they end up getting about 6 seconds with the burst, which is not the highest, but
really?
They're more of a middle pack.
Man, it's a tank. It shouldn't be like that. I know.
Yeah, I know.
6 seconds burst on a prot warrior. Come on, it's a tank. They aren't supposed to have burst or big ass damage. Good damage, just soak it, not make it. Soak it.
Give him like gladiator stance. Let him take damage, but let him like pound people with their shields. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. I had one more question because I remembered it, and we're gonna close it off. You said you're gonna go play competitively a bit more in BFA, and I wanted to ask you, like, what would be your top 3 comps for, I don't know, give me 1 outlaw, give me 1 assassination, and 1 sub, and no RMP, because everybody knows RMP.
Okay, yeah, RMP will always be forever good. You can play, first of all, you can play RMP with assassination, subtlety, or outlaw.
Exactly.
With outlaw doing a lot better in terms of damage and bringing in a blind on a minute 30 cooldown. I mean, you already have a good specialization, so of course, you know, with a mage it'll be wonderful with. But you also bring in tricks of trade with your spec already dealing good damage and tricks of trade buffing your damage and someone else's.
Yep.
Honestly, I think the one comp that I played for the longest was a Fury Warrior Outlaw Rogue and a healer, and I would basically just be a buff bot and debuff bot, and that's all I did. I didn't do any damage. I just buffed the Fury Warrior and he went ham while I threw some range CC and a blind. So Outlaw will always be good with any class that just deals raw amounts of damage, and it's a lot easier if it's a class that's not a caster or a class that cannot be kicked on a cast. So I would say Warriors right now are a little more rampy, so I wouldn't say they're the burstiest. Maybe Outlaw Marksman with a good old Thug Leaf. Imagine buffing your Marksman Hunter for a big old aim shot, boo, half your health. And then you're just there coming in with run-throughs back-to-back into the guy while Plunder Armor is active. Probably Outlaw Beastmaster too could be really good, because you have a beast and it just does a lot of sustained damage and you buff that damage and you burst them together. So Outlaw probably in a Thug Leaf. Assassination, I think, would be insanely amazing with a Warlock. Just if you bring like the dots for days. I mean, you could just spread pressure. You can go roll everybody in the world. Everybody can melt. Or I feel like you can play Assassination with as a placement instead of a Warlock, for example, right? So you would play maybe LSD, Ellie Shaman, Warlock. Ellie Shamans are a little bit shaky right now for PvP. Like it's a lot of just casting. It's not as many instant casts. So maybe substituting Affliction Warlock with a Subtlety Rogue in that end to be the dot guy to spread pressure and then be there for kicks, silences, peeling for the Shaman. That could be pretty good. And then the Shaman would have the more Lava burst damage. And then Subtlety, I'd say, oh god, Subtlety can technically play with anything. But if one class, I think Subtlety could, besides mage, because I'm thinking like
this is hard one.
It's like a Subtlety Rogue and a mage just made for each other. They might as well marry the specs at this point. But Subtlety, I guess, can play with anything technically. It's just their mage just complements them. I don't think there's anybody. They have to be committed. They have to commit to that relationship, I think.
Hey man, how about Reds?
Red Pally. Oh, Subtlety Red. Yeah, Red Rogue. I could see that. Scooby-Doo Cleave.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, I think, could be played with also Assassination too. You know, you bring in an Assass with that strong pressure, and then Red is just pounding the damage while you have sustain from Subtlety.
Yep.
Even Outlaw, like Outlaw would just buff the Red, and the Red would do all the damage in the world. As long as you remember to hit Bubble now.
Yeah. Hey man, skill cam raised. What are you gonna do? Yeah, man. Okay, so let's round it up. So we have for Outlaw the good old Thug Leaf. 100%.
I think so, yeah.
Assassination would work obviously really great with an Affliction Warlock, because the pressure, or Ellie Shaman, and Subtlety. Well, first pick was always going to be Mage.
Yeah, but Red Rogue is a really good one. Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
That's what I wanted to hear, Dan. Okay, man. Well, guys, this has been it. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Dal, thanks you once again for accepting the interview.
Yeah, sorry for taking this long to get the interview going, by the way.
Hey, man, it's
I either had something going on or, you know.
Yeah, it took a little bit to get in touch with Dal, but we finally got him. I hope you guys have, you know, a lot of questions moving forward. I'll throw them up to him as well. Dal, can you, like, we do this all the time at the end. So we have your YouTube over there. You always stream on YouTube now. Can you, like, tell the guys your YouTube schedule?
So I upload videos 2 a day, East Coast, US, 1 at 10 in the morning, 1 at 5 in the morning, and 5 in the evening, and then 5 in the evening we usually have a stream from 5 till 7 East Coast. So I don't know what time it is.
Don't worry, I'll
sometimes
put it in the
10 a.m., 12 a.m. Yeah. Like if you could do like some of the general times. And we stream every single day except for Thursday. Videos are daily, 2 videos a day. That's awesome. Basically the schedule. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you once again for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.